The crystalline spires of New Haven Colony gleamed under the twin suns of Nevera, their surfaces reflecting the perpetual auburn twilight that bathed the alien world. Adrian Blackwood stood at his office window, adjusting the environmental controls of his suit as he observed the graceful forms of the Stellari moving through their anti-gravity pathways between buildings. 3 years into his assignment as diplomatic liaison, Adrian still found himself mesmerized by their ethereal beauty. The Stellari, with their iridescent skin and flowing movements, remained an enigma despite countless hours of cultural exchange and diplomatic meetings. Their society, led by the enigmatic Queen Lysandra, had reluctantly allowed human settlement on their world, but true understanding between the species remained elusive. Mr. Blackwood, his communication device chimed, displaying Dr. Naomi Winter's familiar face. The expedition team is ready. We've detected unusual energy signatures from the northern ruins. Adrian nodded, gathering his field kit. I'll be right there, Naomi. Any word from the Stellari about our request to investigate the site? Queen Lysandra approved it personally, Naomi replied, her expression brightening, though Regent Darius opposed it as usual. The mention of the Queen stirred something in Adrian's chest. He'd only met her twice during formal functions, but her presence had left an indelible impression. Unlike many of her species, Lysandra showed genuine curiosity about humans, often asking questions that went beyond mere diplomatic necessity. The journey to the ruins took them through the Crimson Forest, where vegetation pulsed with bioluminescent life. Ambassador Julian Reed, Adrian's mentor and the senior human diplomat on Nevera, had warned him about venturing this far from the colony. The forest was home to dangerous predators, but the potential discovery of ancient technology made the risk worthwhile. Energy readings are getting stronger, Naomi reported as they approached the ruins. The structure before them was a jumble of geometric shapes, its surface covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly. Adrian brushed his fingers against the wall, feeling a faint vibration. These markings, they're similar to both human and Stellari script. How is that possible? A sudden movement caught his attention. Through the corner of his eye, he spotted a graceful figure moving among the ruins. The iridescent skin was unmistakable Queen Lysandra herself, without her usual entourage. Before Adrian could announce their presence, a blood-curdling screech filled the air. From the shadows emerged a shadow mist, one of Nevera's most deadly predators. Its semi-transparent form rippled as it stalked toward the queen, who had frozen in place. Adrian's training kicked in. "Your Majesty, don't move," he called out, slowly positioning himself between the queen and the creature. The shadow mist's 6 sense organs pulsed with hunger as it assessed its prey. "Mr. Blackwood," Lysandra's melodic voice carried a note of fear, "you must leave. The creature will kill you." "Not happening," Adrian replied, keeping his voice steady. "Naomi, get back to the colony. Alert Captain Thuron." He heard Naomi's footsteps retreating but kept his eyes on the predator. The shadow mist struck with lightning speed. Adrian pushed Lysandra aside, feeling the creature's energy field slice through his suit's protective layer. Pain exploded across his chest, but he managed to activate his emergency beacon, its high-frequency pulse causing the creature to recoil. Lysandra's hands grabbed him, pulling him behind a fallen column. Her touch sent strange sensations through his body, like static electricity but somehow soothing. "You're injured," she stated, her large eyes reflecting concern. "Had to keep you safe," Adrian managed through gritted teeth. "Relations between our people, too important to lose you." The shadow mist circled their position, its hunting cry echoing off the ruins. Lysandra's hand remained on Adrian's shoulder, and he felt an unusual connection forming, as if their minds were touching at the edges. "No human has ever," Lysandra began, but was cut short by the creature's renewed attack. This time she moved with incredible speed, pulling Adrian away as the shadow mist's attack shattered the column. Through his pain-induced haze, Adrian saw Captain Thuron and his guards arriving, their energy weapons driving the creature back into the forest. As consciousness began to fade, he felt Lysandra's cool touch on his face. "Rest, brave one," she whispered. "You have done something unprecedented today. Perhaps you are the bridge our peoples have been waiting for." The last thing Adrian saw before darkness took him was Lysandra's face, her expression a mixture of concern and something else, something that would change both their worlds forever. As he slipped into unconsciousness, he couldn't help but wonder if he had imagined the gentle caress of her mind against his, carrying emotions that transcended the boundaries between their species. Adrian floated in a chamber of luminescent liquid, his consciousness drifting between reality and dreams. Through the translucent healing solution, he could make out the blurred forms of stellari healers moving around him. The wound from the shadow mist's attack pulsed with a dull ache, but the worst of the pain had subsided. Queen Lysandra stood at the observation window, her iridescent skin catching the light from the medical equipment. She hadn't left the healing chamber since Adrian was brought in 3 days ago, something that had set the entire Stellari court buzzing with speculation. Your Majesty, Regent Darius's voice carried its usual note of disdain, your presence here is unnecessary. The human will recover and you have more pressing matters to attend to. Lysandra turned to face her regent, her expression serene but firm. What could be more pressing than attending to the one who saved my life, Regent? His actions challenge everything we thought we knew about humans. Or perhaps, Darius countered, it proves their recklessness. No Stellari would have risked themselves so foolishly. No Stellari would have risked themselves at all, Lysandra replied softly. That is precisely what makes his action remarkable. Inside the chamber, Adrian's mind cleared enough to focus on their conversation. The healing liquid carried sound perfectly, though it gave everything an ethereal quality. He watched as Dr. Naomi Winter entered the chamber, her environmental suit adjusted to the stellari atmosphere. Your Majesty, Naomi bowed slightly, I've analyzed the data we collected from the ruins before the incident. You might want to see this. She glanced at Darius, hesitating. Lysandra understood. Regent, please ensure the evening council is prepared. I will attend shortly. After Darius departed, his disapproval evident in every movement, Naomi approached the observation window. The symbols we found, they're not just similar to both human and stellari writing, they're a perfect hybrid, as if whoever created them knew both languages would evolve. Adrian felt Lysandra's attention shift to him, and suddenly that strange mental connection he'd experienced in the ruins returned. This time it was stronger, more defined. Her thoughts brushed against his consciousness like silk against skin. Can you hear me, Adrian Blackwoods? The question resonated in his mind. He focused his thoughts, trying to respond, yes, how is this possible? The healing solution enhances our natural abilities. Few humans have ever experienced this level of connection with my species. You are unique. The door chimed and Captain Thuron entered, his usually stoic expression troubled. My queen, we've discovered something disturbing. The shadow mist's appearance was not natural. There are signs it was deliberately guided to the ruins. Lysandra's mental connection with Adrian wavered for a moment. Someone knew I would be there, she said aloud, her voice tight with controlled anger. Adrian pushed through the fog in his mind. The ruins, you were investigating them secretly. Why? Lysandra approached the chamber, placing her hand against the transparent barrier. Our histories speak of a time when another species walked among us, teaching both humans and stellari. The ruins may hold proof of this connection. Your Majesty, one of the healers interrupted, the human's recovery is progressing faster than expected. The mental connection you've established appears to be accelerating the healing process. Naomi looked between Adrian and the Queen, her scientific curiosity evident. This is unprecedented. The possibility of such deep psychological compatibility between our species was theoretical at best. Adrian felt strength returning to his limbs. The wound across his chest had faded to a series of silvery lines that seemed to shimmer like stellari skin. More than his physical recovery, he felt changed on a fundamental level. The connection with Lysandra had awakened something within him, a sense of possibility he'd never imagined. There will be those who oppose this discovery. Lysandra's thoughts carried a weight of concern. Regent Darius and his followers believe in stellari superiority, evidence of a shared heritage, of the potential for true connection between our species. Would threaten everything they believe in. Adrian completed her thought. The attack wasn't just aimed at you. It was meant to prevent what we might discover. Through their mental link, Adrian felt Lysandra's appreciation of his quick understanding, along with something warmer, more personal. Their shared experience had created a bond that transcended diplomatic relations or even the normal boundaries between species. We should begin the withdrawal process, the head healer announced. He's strong enough now. As the healing liquid drained away, Adrian found himself missing the intimate mental connection with Lysandra. But when their eyes met through the chamber glass, he realized some connections didn't need words or telepathy. The way she looked at him spoke of trust, gratitude, and something more profound, a recognition of kindred spirits across the vast divide of their different origins. Captain Thuron stepped forward, his posture protective of his queen. The investigation into the attack must be handled carefully, if there are indeed those within the court who would resort to such measures. Then we must be equally bold in response, Lysandra finished. Adrian Blackwood's actions have shown us what courage truly means. Perhaps it's time we Stellari learn to be a little more human. As Adrian was helped from the chamber, still unsteady on his feet, he caught Lysandra's eye once more. In that moment, he knew their shared brush with death had set in motion changes that would reshape both their worlds. The question was, would they be given the chance to see those changes through? The private gardens of the Stellari Palace complex were a symphony of bioluminescent flora, their colors shifting in harmony with the evening breeze. Adrian walked beside Queen Lysandra, still marveling at how natural it felt to be in her presence. 2 weeks had passed since his release from the healing chamber, but the lingering effects of their mental connection remained, a subtle awareness of each other that defied explanation. Your recovery has exceeded all expectations, Lysandra observed, pausing beside a floating crystal fountain. Though I suspect Regent Darius was hoping for a different outcome. Adrian smiled wryly. He's made his disapproval quite clear. Yesterday he suggested that my reckless behavior sets a poor example for diplomatic relations. Darius fears what he cannot control. Lysandra's skin rippled with patterns that Adrian had learned to recognize as concern. And you, Adrian Blackwood, are decidedly unpredictable. Their conversation was interrupted by Ambassador Julian Reed's arrival. The older diplomat's expression was grave. Your Majesty, Adrian, we've received disturbing news. Someone has leaked details of your private meetings to the Conservative Council. Adrian felt Lysandra tense beside him. The Conservative Council, led by Darius, had long opposed closer ties with humans. Their private discussions about the ruins and the possibility of an ancient connection between their species would be seen as heresy. There's more, Julian continued. Dr. Winter's research team was denied access to the ruins. Officially, it's for safety concerns, but unofficially, they're trying to bury whatever we might find there, Adrian finished. He turned to Lysandra, noticing how the patterns on her skin had shifted to a deeper hue. We're running out of time. Later that evening, Adrian met with Naomi in his office, reviewing the limited data they'd managed to collect from the ruins. Look at this sequence, Naomi pointed to a series of symbols. It's not just a hybrid language, it's describing some kind of transformation, a joining of species. A joining that some would rather remain hidden, Captain Thuron's voice came from the doorway. The Stellari Guard captain entered, his usually formal demeanor softened by urgency. My queen requests your presence, Mr. Blackwood, both of you, we've had a security breach. They found Lysandra in her private study, surrounded by holographic displays showing ancient text and star charts. Someone accessed the sealed archives, she said without preamble. They were looking for information about the convergence. The convergence, Naomi asked. A period in our ancient history that's more myth than record, Lysandra explained. It speaks of a time when Stellari and humans were guided by beings who could bridge the gap between our species. The ruins you found may be proof it was more than legend. Adrian approached one of the displays, studying the intricate patterns. These look like the marks that appeared on my skin after the healing chamber. He rolled up his sleeve, revealing the silvery lines that still shimmered faintly. Lysandra moved closer, her fingertips hovering over the marks. The air between them seemed to crackle with energy. The healing process activated something dormant in your genetic structure, she said softly, something that resonates with Stellari biology. Their eyes met, and Adrian felt that familiar mental touch, stronger now than ever. In her gaze, he saw not just a queen or even an alien being, but someone who understood the weight of destiny and chose to bear it anyway. The moment was shattered by an explosion that rocked the palace. Alarms blared as Captain Thuron's communicator erupted with urgent reports. Multiple breaches in the security grid, he announced, drawing his weapon. They're targeting the archive chamber and, here. Smoke began pouring through the ventilation system. Adrian's diplomatic training kicked in as he helped Naomi secure her environmental suit. Your Majesty, we need to get you to safety. But Lysandra stood her ground, her skin pulsing with defensive patterns. No, whatever they're trying to prevent, it's already begun. She reached for Adrian's hand, and the moment their skin touched, the silvery marks on his arm blazed with light. The mental connection between them burst wide open, flooding their shared consciousness with images. Ancient ceremonies, beings of pure energy guiding both species, and a future where the barriers between them dissolved completely. How touching, Regent Darius's voice cut through the smoke. He stood in the doorway, flanked by armed guards wearing filtration masks. The queen who would pollute our bloodline and the human who dared to reach above his station. The only pollution here is your fear, Darius. Lysandra's voice carried the weight of centuries of royal authority. You would deny our people their true heritage out of pride. Heritage? Darius spat the word. Those ruins are an abomination, evidence of ancient mistakes we've spent millennia trying to correct. And now you would repeat those mistakes, drawing ever closer to these creatures. Adrian stepped forward, positioning himself beside Lysandra rather than in front of her, an equal rather than a protector. Your own legends speak of unity, Regent. What are you really afraid of? The answer came in the form of weapons fire, but something extraordinary happened. The silvery marks on Adrian's skin flared again, and Lysandra's natural defensive patterns synchronized with them, creating a shield of pure energy that deflected the attack. Captain Thuron seized the moment, disarming several of Darius's guards while Naomi activated the emergency protocols, sealing the chamber. Through it all, Adrian and Lysandra remained connected, their shared power illuminating the smoke-filled room with otherworldly light. You see, Lysandra addressed everyone present, her voice carrying that strange dual resonance of spoken and mental communication. This is what was always meant to be, not dominance, not separation, but synthesis. In that moment, surrounded by danger yet filled with unprecedented hope, Adrian understood that their connection was more than diplomatic, more than physical, more even than the strange biology they were discovering. It was a glimpse of what both their species could become together. The question was, would they survive long enough to show others the way? The aftermath of Darius's failed assassination attempt transformed the Stellari Palace into a hive of activity. Adrian and Lysandra found themselves in the secure command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing security footage and ancient texts. Captain Thuron had Darius under guard, but they all knew the Regent was merely one piece of a larger puzzle. Look at this, Naomi pointed to a decoded section of text from the ruins. The convergence wasn't just about guidance from advanced beings. It was a deliberate program to create a bridge between our species. Adrian studied the symbols, the silvery marks on his skin shimming in response. The healing chamber didn't just heal me, did it? It activated something that was already there, something in both human and Stellari DNA. Lysandra's skin rippled with patterns of revelation. For generations, certain noble houses have passed down warnings about genetic impurities in our bloodline. We assumed it was about maintaining Stellari purity, but she touched Adrian's arm, and their shared mental space bloomed with understanding. Ambassador Julian Reed entered, his face grave. We've intercepted communications between Darius and several off-world human separatist groups. This goes deeper than Stellari politics. Of course it does, Adrian said, the pieces falling into place. There are humans who fear integration with alien species just as much as Darius fears integration with humans. They're working together to prevent what they see as contamination of both species. Captain Thuron's communicator chimed. My queen Darius has received 3 visitors in his cell, all high-ranking members of the Conservative Council. Let me speak with him, Adrian suggested. He might reveal more to someone he underestimates. Lysandra caught his hand, their mental connection surging. Be careful. He's desperate now, and that makes him dangerous. In the detention center, Adrian found Darius sitting calmly, as if his cell were a meditation chamber. Come to gloat, human. Come to understand, Adrian replied, sitting across from him. You knew about the ruins all along, didn't you? About what they represented. Darius's composed facade cracked slightly. My family has guarded the truth for generations. We are the protectors of purity, of natural order. What you and Lysandra represent, it's an abomination. No, Adrian leaned forward. It's evolution. The beings who guided our ancestors saw potential in both species. They didn't just teach us, they gave us the ability to transcend our limitations. And look what that led to, Darius stood abruptly. Chaos, confusion, the dilution of everything that makes us unique and strong. Or perhaps, Lysandra's voice came from the doorway as she entered, it makes us stronger together than we ever could be apart. The moment she stepped into the room, the connection between her and Adrian intensified. The silvery marks on his skin began to glow, matching the luminescent patterns flowing across her form. Darius recoiled, but his expression showed more recognition than surprise. You've seen this before, Adrian realized. In your family's secret records, this reaction between human and stellari biology, it's happened before. My own ancestor, Darius whispered, his resistance finally cracking. She was one of the last to experience the convergence. The records speak of power, of understanding beyond anything we'd known, but it changed both species in ways we couldn't control. The Conservative Council was formed to prevent it from happening again. Naomi burst into the room. The ruins, someone's activated an energy surge, the entire structure is powering up. Through their mental link, Adrian and Lysandra shared a moment of perfect clarity. The ruins weren't just a historical site, they were a beacon, waiting for the right combination of human and stellari energy to awaken. Your separatist allies, Lysandra addressed Darius. They're not trying to destroy the ruins, are they? They're trying to use them. Darius's silence was answer enough. Captain Thuron's voice came over the comm system, multiple ships breaking orbit, they're heading for the ruins. As alarms blared throughout the palace, Adrian and Lysandra exchanged glances. The time for investigation was over. Now they had to prevent those who feared the future from destroying any chance of it coming to pass. The ruins held secrets that could transform both their species, but in the wrong hands, that same power could tear their worlds apart. The real question was, were they ready for the truth that awaited them among those ancient stones? The twin sons of Nevera cast long shadows across the ancient ruins as Adrian and Lysandra approached, their combined energy creating a visible aura around them. Behind them, Captain Thuron led a mixed force of human and stellari security teams, while Naomi monitored energy readings from a safe distance. The ruins had transformed, their seemingly random geometric patterns now pulsing with internal light that matched the rhythm of Adrian's silvery markings and Lysandra's bioluminescent patterns. Around the structure, separatist forces from both species had established defensive positions. This is your final warning, a human separatist leader's voice boomed across the clearing. The ruins must be destroyed to preserve the natural order. The power they contain was never meant for either species to reclaim. Through their mental link, Adrian felt Lysandra's determination. They're wrong. This power exists because our ancestors knew we would need it someday. Ambassador Julian Reed's voice came through their communicators. Multiple ships detected entering the atmosphere, more separatists incoming. Adrian stepped forward, his voice carrying across the battlefield. Look around you, look at what fear has driven you to humans and stellari working together to prevent humans and stellari from working together. Don't you see the irony? Better an alliance of necessity than the corruption of both our species, called out one of Darius's supporters. Lysandra moved to stand beside Adrian, their energies visibly intertwining. You speak of corruption, but what we represent is completion. The beings who guided our ancestors didn't seek to diminish us, they sought to help us grow beyond our limitations. The ruins responded to their proximity, the ground trembling as ancient machinery awakened. Streams of energy began flowing between the geometric structures, forming patterns that matched both human DNA sequences and stellari energy signatures. The convergence was never about losing ourselves, Adrian continued, understanding flowing through their shared consciousness. It was about finding parts of ourselves we never knew existed. Naomi's excited voice cut through the tension. The energy patterns, they're not changing anyone. They're revealing what was always there in both species. A beam of light shot from the central spire, creating a holographic display that filled the sky. It showed the history that both species had forgotten. The ancient beings who had seen potential in both humans and stellari, who had gifted them with complementary abilities that would lie dormant until they were ready to understand each other. The separatist forces wavered, weapons lowering as they witnessed their shared heritage. The silvery marks on Adrian's skin spread, forming intricate patterns that perfectly complemented Lysandra's natural luminescence. Their mental connection expanded, touching the minds of everyone present with a vision of possibility. Through their joined consciousness, Adrian and Lysandra spoke as one. This is who we were always meant to be, not separate, not in conflict, but in harmony. Different yet complementary, like the twin suns above us. Captain Thuron was the first to step forward, laying down his weapon. Others followed, human and stellari alike, as the truth of their connected destiny became impossible to deny. The ruins' energy field stabilized, its purpose fulfilled. It hadn't been a weapon or a threat, but a key unlocking potential that had been hidden within both species for millennia, waiting for the right moment, the right combination of hearts and minds to awaken it. In the days that followed, the Conservative Council was dissolved, replaced by a new joint human stellari governing body. Darius and his closest allies faced justice, but many of their former supporters became advocates for integration, having witnessed the truth firsthand. Adrian and Lysandra stood together on the palace balcony, watching the sun set on a changed world. Their mental connection had become a permanent bond, a living example of what their species could achieve together. The beings who guided our ancestors, Adrian mused, they must have known it would take something extraordinary to bring us together. A crisis, a catalyst. Lysandra's skin shimmered with patterns of joy, or perhaps just two hearts brave enough to reach across the stars. She turned to face him, her luminescence synchronizing with his silver markings. Our ancestors gave us the potential, but we chose what to do with it. Ambassador Julian approached with news of more human colonies, requesting Stellari cultural exchange programs. Captain Thuron reported increasing numbers of Stellari volunteering for joint military training. Dr. Winter's research team had begun cataloging the ruins database, discovering new ways that human and Stellari biology could work in harmony. But for Adrian and Lysandra, the most profound change was personal. Their bond had transcended diplomatic relations, biology, and even their own expectations. In finding each other, they had helped both their species find a new way forward. As the last light of day painted the sky in shades of amber and rose, Adrian felt Lysandra's consciousness brush against his own. In their shared mental space, no words were needed, only the certainty that what they had built together would light the way for generations to come. The ancient beings who had set this all in motion could never have predicted the exact path their descendants would take. But perhaps they had known that when the right hearts found each other, no distance, not even that between stars, could keep them apart.